What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with the recent physique update of none other than Behrooz, exactly 16 days out of this year's Miss Olympia. So it seems like this is gonna be another heartbreak for the great Iranian phenomenon, because the status of his visa, that is still the same as it was last year and the year before that. And one of the major problems is that he cannot apply again until or unless they grant him the visa or reject his application. Because until he receives an answer for his previous application, he is just stuck in this misery. So the irony is that there are some other competitors out there who have qualified for this year's Miss Olympia and were intentionally sitting out of this year's big show. While on the other hand, we have a guy like Behrooz, who is so eager to compete on the biggest bodybuilding stage in the world, and he has been patiently waiting for 2 years now, as he has qualified for the Olympia 2 years in a row. And yet there is nothing new for him at the moment. And this is why there is a strong sentiment in the bodybuilding community that an FV Pro, who has also qualified for the Olympia, they should never skip the biggest bodybuilding show in the world, because you never know which one is going to be your last. So at this point we are really uncertain whether Behrooz will ever get the US visa, whether he will ever step on the biggest bodybuilding stage in the world. But he can definitely be one of those guys who can keep stacking up pro wins. I mean, the man already has 4 pro wins. And if God forsaken he doesn't get to the Olympia stage this year again, there is a very strong chance that he will do Romania Pro and Pro Pro as well, which are happening in that post-Olympia tour this year. And I have to say he has a very solid chance at winning both of these shows. So 2020 was the year when Hadi Chopin got to the US just 1 day before the prejudging. So let's just hope we have 16 more days and Behrooz gets his US visa and we get to see him on the biggest bodybuilding stage in the world, against the best of the best. Next up is the update of a great classic physique athlete from Brazil, who by the way is qualified for this year's Miss Olympia. And keep in mind, this was gonna be his Olympia debut, Livinho Pro. So another bad news for you guys, and the bodybuilding community as well, because he is another athlete who just became a victim of not getting the US visa. And the unfortunate news is that his visa has been denied 3 times now, and he has just announced that he is gonna try again next year. So most of the fans, they only care about top 6 or top 7 in classic physique division. But I have to say Livinho is a guy who could have made a very serious impact at the biggest bodybuilding stage in classic, and that too on his first try. Because the thing is, the man has an amazing physique, massive quads, a very small waistline, possibly one of the smallest out there, great vacuum. He has amazing detail in his hamstrings and glutes as well. And I am not trying at all to overhype this guy, but I believe he has one of the most polished front relaxed in the entire classic physique right now. Kind of a smaller version of Keon Pearson. So Livinho did compete against the former Olympians at his past Arnold Brazil, but he wasn't able to win that show. But at the same time, he looked very competitive. So I have no idea why his visa is being denied over and over again. Because there are still plenty of other athletes from Brazil who are gonna be on this year's Olympia stage, both in classic as well as in the men's open. So next year Livinho should start his visa process as early as he possibly can, so that he can get a chance to get compared with the best of the best in the world. Next up we have an update from Tonio, the Cali Pro champion from this year, and 2 times former Olympian, a top 8 guy in the world. So this could have been his 3rd Olympia, but Tonio made this judgment call that in order for him to move up the ranks at the Olympia level, or even repeat that same performance as last year, and place top 8 in the world again, he needs more size, he needs more thickness overall in his physique. Because there is still a tag on him that he still looks like a 212 guy, especially in some of the front shots. And matter of the fact is, he could have never placed top 8 in the world this year, especially in this kind of lineup that we have at the Olympia this year. And that is why he wasn't making top 10 in any of the Olympia predictions that were being made this time. Because this time, the top 9 places, they are absolutely locked. We have Derek, Hadi, Samson Dauda, Andrew Jack, Nick Walker, Brandon Kerry, Hunter Labrada, Martin Fitzwater, and Rafael Brandao. So the plan for Tonio is that to get heavier, and that plan is being executed to perfection and so damn well. So this is the first time Tonio has touched 260 pounds in his entire career. So as of right now, we have no idea how long is it gonna take for Tonio to get some thickness and density in some areas. For instance, his chest and his hamstrings, because if he is able to successfully do that, he can't possibly be in that same discussion as Martin Fitzwater, because he also has that same kind of eye-pleasing structure. Very beautiful shape, very aesthetic lines, and definitely one of the most complete backs in the men's open right now. And lastly, we have seen that he can bring an insane level of detail and separation, and we saw something similar to that at this year's Arnold Brazil when he went toe-to-toe with a guy like Rafael Brandao and had Tonio Button won that shoe. I don't think anyone would have complained, but in terms of how high can he place at the Olympia level, this decision of sitting out of the Olympia, this will certainly help him in the future. Next up, we have a physique update from Logan Franklin. So how much classic physique has evolved, especially in the last 4 years? That is just insane. Because back in 2020, before Logan was about to make his Olympia debut, there was a legit rivalry between him and the current champion Chris Bumstead. But that banter, that rivalry was only limited to Instagram. So Logan was the one who made this very bold statement that he sees himself in the first call-out against guys like Chris Bumstead and Brion Ansley. But that was just far from reality, and he placed 9th at his first ever Miss Olympia. And that was the only Olympia in classic physique that he has ever done till now. So now Logan is getting ready to step back on the biggest bodybuilding stage in 2 weeks' time after more than 3 years. So this time he really hasn't talked about his expectations and where he wanna place at the Olympia 2024. But the fact is he has been working with a coach like Patrick Tour, and this is the very first time these guys are working together. And this is gonna be their first show together. And based on all the physique updates that we have seen from Logan throughout this year's Miss Olympia prep, I believe this is gonna be his all-time best. Certainly better than some of his looks that we saw from him last year, especially the ones where he was coaching himself. So it is kinda impossible at this point to predict where Logan is gonna place at this year's Miss Olympia. But I have to say, if he can repeat that same Olympia 2020 performance where he finished 9th, that is gonna be such a huge accomplishment. Because we have to keep in mind, he's still gonna have to beat 50 plus guys to be 9th in the world again. Next up, we have an update from Martin Fitzwater, probably one of the only few guys who is still doing zero amount of cardio and still looking so damn peeled this close to Miss Olympia. And the thing is, why should he when he is getting peeled anyway? So this guy has such a fast metabolism, and that is why when his coach Stefan and him started working together, so when Stefan immediately cut down his food, he very soon realized that Martin needs to be fed a lot of food, a lot of carbs, in order to keep him full. And watching him go as low as 50 grams of carbs, that tells us one thing for sure. The condition for his first ever Miss Olympia, that is gonna be even better than what we saw at this past New York Pro. So this is his first ever Miss Olympia, and everyone has Martin in their top 10, and some even have Martin in their top 6. So all he wants to do is bring his absolute best and just have fun with it. That guy is just 27 years old. So if you think about it, the amount of hype Martin has behind him at the moment, I mean, he is being discussed over and over again in every single bodybuilding podcast. He has already achieved great success. So this is a type of physique that if he stays healthy, he is gonna be fighting for the top 3 in the near future. So think about it. Brandon Carey, Andrew Jack, and even Samson Dauda, they are all soon gonna be turning 40. So eventually all of these guys, they will move on to the next phase of their lives. And then all these young up-and-coming bodybuilders, they will be taking their place. Because Martin can easily compete for another 10 to 12 years before he turns 40. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.